All right, so welcome. We are meeting for the Washington Campus Compact uh, Scholarship or Volunteer Hour campaign. And so this is Professor Nate Woods here at Grace Harbor College. I am excited to take a few minutes to go over what this is and how it can benefit you and benefit those around you. And so first, I want to just start off by just saying welcome. This particular group, this particular group, I'll call the 300 group. And the reason I call you my 300 group is because you have 300 hours you have to complete from a volunteer perspective. And it's very important that as you as we kind of lean into this particular area, this particular session, you need to know that the requirement here is that you complete 300 hours. Now, I want to pause and I want to say this, although this is for the 300 group, I also have individuals on this call that are a part of a fellowship group. And the fellowship group is something completely different. Hello, Allison. And so because the fellowship group is different, I'm going to speak primarily to the 300 group, but the fellowship group understands their expectations, and everything that I share with the 300 group applies to you. Okay. And so just keep that in mind as I share this information.
I have a quick question about the volunteer hours. I don't know about the parameters that need to be involved in them. I volunteer down at Paws and I walk dogs a couple times, and I'm not sure if that counts towards hours.
Yeah, so that's everything I'm gonna cover right here. So that's great, and I'm glad you have that. We're gonna save the response to your question toward the end. Okay, Allison.
Okay, because when I was there, was it last night? There was a sign up that says volunteers wanted. So if that is within the perimeters, then I can give that to the group.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And you just hit on two things that I want to make sure we cover today. There again, this call is being recorded. I want to make sure everyone knows that. So it should have given you a warning before you jumped in. Did it? Did it, Allison? I'm sorry. Are you okay?
You included that it would be recorded in the email though. So
good deal. All right. So what is Washington Campus Compact? It is an organization committed to connecting colleges with communities to solve today's critical issues. WACC, or in other words, WACC, Washington Campus Compact, empowers students to create positive change in their communities by providing cohesive civic engagement resources and education. And so the reason I just shared that with you is because all of this ties into what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing, and then how we can grow it. Because at the end of the day, we want to grow this. The one thing we don't want is for this to become some stagnant thing we do 1 year, and then after that we stop, and then that's it. That's not it. I want to continue giving you some more information about Washington Compact, and I think Campus Compact, and I think it's really good for you to understand just who the organization is that is helping to feed this and fund this. Washington Campus Compact is a coalition of higher education institutions committed to advancing the public purpose of college and universities, education students for civic and social responsibilities, and working in partnership to how did I just struggle with that word? Cultivate, forgive me, vital and sustainable communities. And the part that's really good here is everything that we're about to transition to and start talking about has everything to do with where we're going next. Okay, that's their mission. That has everything to do with our mission. The majority of you are human services students, and I want you to understand everything we're doing is about serving our community from a civic perspective and from a leadership perspective. And there are going to be a couple of things that we talk about that's going to challenge that in you. Now that I have that good stuff out of the way, what I want to talk about with you next is, what does this look like in real life? What are some of the expectations? What are the hours? How does this really, what does it look like? And so we're going to start with, first I'm gonna start after you have a clear understanding there. I want to just tell you, you have 300 hours you must complete. You get a scholarship, there's some money attached to it, and that's a great thing. However, the caveat before you can get that is you have to volunteer some community hours. All right, and that's why I call you the 300 group. Listen, At least 70% of your 300 hours, which is 210 hours, must be direct service. Direct service has to be something you're doing to serve the community, serve the public, or serve people in that in some form or fashion in that capacity without pay. If you are being paid for it, it does not count. You cannot count those hours. It has to be volunteer, specifically volunteer hours. You could, yes,
That also includes not attaining benefits from any type.
absolutely not attaining benefits. So anything, if you're being compensated, whether that's monetary or non-monetary compensation, you cannot do it. You cannot count those. I can't say that you can't do it. You can do it, but you cannot count those hours toward this particular program. All right. So if you're being compensated in any way, you cannot bring those hours into the equation. Now, so you have at least 70% of your hours, which equates to 210 hours, are direct service. You can have up to 10% of your hours, which is 30 hours, for fundraising. I don't mind saying it again. 210 hours, direct service, 30 hours, fundraising. And then that leaves you with 20% of your hours. And that's 60 hours that's remaining. And that last 20% can be used for professional development. And that's 60 hours. So right off the bat, because the majority of you are my students, or you are in school of some sort, and you're learning a craft, or you're learning to serve in a different capacity, you have an opportunity to go ahead and knock off 60 hours. Boom, right there. 60 hours can go ahead and be knocked off, and you can say, Nate, I want to go ahead and start with my 240. I know I have 60 hours because I'm being educated. Does that make sense? All right, so if that's clear and we're on the same page there, I also want to share with you that your hours do not start until you're approved. Once you're approved, you get an email that says you're approved. You finished your background, the fingerprinting is done, and you've signed the agreement. Everything's done, you're cleared. Then you can start. These hours are not retro. So because you did 16 hours or 1,600 hours 2 months ago, and you don't have any this month, but you wish you could have brought those up, they don't come over. You can't. It doesn't work that way. So we start from the time that you're approved, and I have everyone's start date. Okay. I think it's very important to understand this. We have one student who's already at 334 hours already completed. That's one of my fellows completed. They started before everyone else did. They started January 8th. And starting January 8th, they completed 334 hours up to the time. And so they're completely done, and they're in the process of being awarded the scholarship, the financial portion of the scholarship. I have another fellow that is at somewhere around 250 hours, and so they'll be approaching theirs as well to send them over the top. And this is the expectation, is that I would love for next in August to start having this conversation again with you and other groups or other students, and talk about how you've already completed your first round and you're going back in again for another scholarship. All right. I do want to say this. There are a lot of development opportunities out there for you to build and actually learn. And so you cannot double dip. So if you learn in class, as I'm teaching you, this is professional development, you cannot take learning at a place you're volunteering for. You can't use another 60 hours there. Does that make sense? So learning is learning. Now, you could take 60 from the education piece here, but then if part of your serving is you're doing a training for others, then you can use that, because you're actually, that's considered direct service. Does that make sense? Okay, so you can't be the student over here and the student over here and say, hey, I'm gonna get 60 and 60. It doesn't work that way. That's double dipping. All right. What are some things we can do to earn these hours from a direct service way? Any work we're doing related to the public and helping the public in any capacity. So Allison said she's walking dogs, right? So how does that serve the public? How does that serve the people that are coming into that program and asking for assistance? That's for you, Allison.
So, yeah, I take a shift down there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Takes about an hour, depending on how many dogs there are. But the Paws of Grace Harbor is basically caring for these dogs and needing help caring for the dogs until they find their forever homes. The dogs that find their forever homes are going to be part of the family of the humans. So I guess it does kind of correlate and all entwine. It is a service because we don't get paid. We get paid in kisses, but that's okay with me.
To get the kisses from the dogs. That's the way it works, right? So I think it's very
There's
important.
cats down there. Sorry,
Go
there's
ahead.
cats down there too that need help feeding and cleaning up after and stuff that we help out with all the time. So I did see a sign that they are wanting volunteers. So
Yeah, so you can definitely do that. That's a great way to get in and start serving and collecting hours. So make sure you're tracking your hours. Something else to keep in mind though is as a way to keep hours, there are organizations all over. Grace Harbor Youth Works is another organization. I'm not going to call everyone out, and this doesn't mean that one is greater than the other. That's not what I'm here to do. But what I am saying is Grace Harbor Youth Works has a program right now. They just started up. They're 2 weeks in. I think it's a 9-week or 11-week program where you have an opportunity to help some students or some young people build remote operated vehicles. And that's a great way to get in and serve and help students to become more acclimated to interacting with people again in a safe space. Everything's done outside or either by Zoom. And what it does is it's helping students who are struggling, especially coming off of a pandemic, from struggling with interacting again and getting back into the swing of talking to people on a regular basis or meeting new friends. You can help with that and help guide them from a leader's perspective. That's another event. You can get into the parks and clean. It doesn't have to be a program. It doesn't have to be a big, over the top thing, something that everyone's promoting. You can go clean parks. 4 or 5 of you can get together, get some brooms and get some gloves and some trash bags and go clean a park. You can talk to, you can do neighborhood walks, pick up, clean up things. You can go to the YMCA and volunteer. You can go to the homeless shelter and volunteer. You can go to the pantry and volunteer. There are opportunities out here, and you don't have to wait for your professor to say, "Hey, we're going to do something." This is where you have to take the initiative and go plug in. Many of you are looking for opportunities right now as it relates to internships, which is free. You're not getting anything for it. You can definitely plug in and start building relationships by volunteering at organizations so that at the end of this quarter, you can go ahead, you already have an established relationship and you can move right into your internship afterwards. Does that make sense? I want to pause here and I want to transition to the next part of the conversation, which is there's a legal aspect to this. If you have this program, part of your agreement and what you signed up for in this program is that you will not go out and commit crimes and do things to damage or tarnish the reputation of you, the college, and the organization that's giving you the scholarship, which is WACC. Okay. So I think it's very important that you understand anything that you get caught up in, or let me say it this way, you should not get caught up in anything that would damage the reputation of or tarnish the brand or the reputation of yourself first before any other organization, the college and WACC. If you are, then there's an opportunity that you can be dropped from the program and lose your scholarship. That's a part of the agreement. Does everyone understand that portion? All right. This is the time where we're being civic leaders. Here, listen, this is about civic leadership. And if you're signing up for civic leadership, we don't just go do whatever we want to do and act out however we want to act. We're holding a standard and creating a new standard. And that's what we teach at Grace Harbor College, is that there's a standard we're coming into. And the idea is that every cohort comes and the standard should be raised a little bit higher. So don't come into this leadership position and tear down the standard. This is where we elevate the standard a little bit more. Are there any questions? All right. One of the last things I want to show you is, or I want to give you some information on, and this is going to come by email. And what this is here is I want to show you how to track your hours. And instead of me showing you how to track your hours, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the chat. When I put this link in the chat, what you can do is you can go in, and everyone that's watching this video, when I give you the link to the video, this information will also be included in that email so that you can have it, so that no one is missing anything. So I'm going right now to put this link in the chat. And this video was created by one of our fellows. Joe. And as she was inputting her hours into the system, she thought it to be a great idea to showcase and explain, kind of teach. Joe, those are hours right there. Joe, you can count creating this as time. You can create it as time. You're serving the public. Okay. And so what you want to do is you go onto, you track your hours in a system called Encore. And the website is https semicolon / WA Encore reports. Let me share my screen with you so that you can see this, and then you can get an idea of where to go for this particular website. I want to make sure that you have it and that you see it. I'm not just talking about it, but you actually see it. So I'm about to share my screen with you. Alrighty, so bingo. Ooh, if I log in different, if I go in, let me just try it this way so it doesn't automatically take me to my login as a supervisor. All right, excellent. So once we get to this particular place, you want to select 2020 year. Corereports.com. Oh, I did that so wrong. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I did that wrong. Here we go. You have to have the WA there. Now we're here. We're at the right place. So forgive me for typing in the wrong address. I forgot the WA at the beginning. And so on this, can you see this screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, excellent. So these are your recommended browsers. You can read that information, but you want to select this particular year, so 2021. And once you select that, you want to move to the next screen. And this is as far as I can go. But once you go here, you want to select, you're going in as an Americorps member. And once you go in, your username, your default username, you see what mine is, but your user is going to be, I'm just throwing it out there for new users. You're going to go in and it's going to be your last name, first initial. So your last name and first initial, and then the password is going to be boat 123. All right. And once you get into the system, then you can go in and make any adjustments. You have a prompt to change the information that's necessary. But once you get in there and you're able to do that information, you can follow the prompts that are going to be given to you in a document that I'm sending you. But I think it's very important that when you go here, you type in the information accurately and you don't do what I did. Make sure you put WA and then you finish the rest of the URL. Once that's there, you can go ahead and you can start you can start inputting your hours. All right. Something else as a tool will be the video that Joe did for you so that you can have access to it and you can walk through it. And if you have any other questions, please reach out to me. I wanted to take this time, though, for every one of you to understand that you're a part of something that's huge. The vision behind this is I wanted to do something different from, I wanted you to experience something different than what's been offered in the past. And that is, I would love for all of my students to have an opportunity to participate in this scholarship and from this grow it so that Washington Campus Compact has to increase their funding so that they can do things because we're increasing the capacity by which we use the funding. Does that make sense? And that doesn't start with me. It starts with you. Are you up for the challenge? I hope so. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so you were saying we could walk around the neighborhood and clean up. How would we track our hours? I mean, just kind of put in however many we did. We're not really.
Yeah, so great question. So the system that I just showed you is how you would enter in your hours that you're tracking for the sake of the system. I have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that you can use to kind of track your hours until that time comes. Does that make sense? So every day you're not going to go to this website and then put in your hours. You're just not going to do it. So I've created an Excel spreadsheet called the volunteer hours, and you can go in and it covers you for the entire month. So at the end of the month, you can just put in your hours. All right. And I appreciate you asking that question, Kevin. Something that is very important that I did not share with you is there's a deadline to this, people. Like this, you don't have until infinity to get your 300 hours. We have until August. So we have some work to do. We have some work to do. And this is going to require you to get plugged in the community. Go visit different organizations, Habitat for Humanities, go like Goodwill. There are opportunities, countless opportunities. There are opportunities on the Facebook page for Grace Harbor where you can go in and there are organizations and groups of people that are volunteering almost weekly. And so there's no reason for you not to get the hours you need, in addition to some of the things we're going to be doing at the school. Another great way to get your hours is being a part of the Hope Squad. So the Hope Squad and the training that we're doing, the things we're going to be doing in the streets. And so we're going to take, as we get closer and the weather kind of changes, we're going to get some signs and we're going to stand on the side of the streets and just share hope with people, get on the corners and just share hope with people. And then the process of building these signs, to standing out and holding out these signs in our interactions with those that drive past and are encouraged, those are hours that count toward this particular program as well.
So for the Hope Squad, because we already have our professional development, does that count towards direct service?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I was going to say because we're collaborating. I mean, I know on one hand it is a professional development because we are learning mental health. So I guess if somebody doesn't have a whole lot of hours for schooling, they could use that for their professional development as well, right?
Correct. If they don't have any schooling, you can definitely join the Hope Squad and you can get some hours that way. But just the fact that we're interacting and we're training one another, we're practicing on one another so that you can be certified to go out and have those conversations with the public as peer support. All of that works toward the same project, toward mental health and serving our communities from a civic leadership perspective.
Can I pick your brain for maybe a organization that is involved with substance use disorders that does have volunteer opportunities that one can transition into as an internship? I don't want to start volunteering with an organization that I guess the school hasn't checked out and kind of validated with wanting to work with them is my hang up. I don't want to just kind of jump into the ball and be like, well, I don't really agree with
the practice and their kind of line of ethics. So yeah, so let's do this. So everyone that's watching and that's going to be watching this recorded, if you have any other questions or concerns, please reach me, send me an email, or I'm also setting my fellowship group up so that they can be contacted to help walk you through some of these as well. So you can reach me at nathaniel.woods@GHC. I don't mind spelling it. That's Nathaniel. That's Nathaniel. Period. Woods. WOODS at GHC. Period. EDU. Send me an email if you have any questions, concerns, and I look forward to talking to you later. Thank you.